Hello and welcome to Kingdom Inspired Kids, where I am your host, Calvette Boyd, as well as the founder. I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. So, today we are going to continue our episode with summertime activities for our kids. So, that is we are in that series, and we want to talk about today, we want to talk about safety at the swimming pool. Let's go swimming. All right. So I know a lot of kids like to get out in the summertime and they like to go to the pool. They like to go to the lake with their friends and their family. But the first thing we want to make sure that we're doing when we do that is to have constant and close supervision. So anytime my children have been invited to go to a swim party or hang out at the lake or whatever, if I'm not able to be there, I always make sure that there is a responsible adult that is there paying attention, because sometimes adults are there, but they are not paying attention. And I've always been one of those parents that I'm alert, I'm attentive, and I'm paying attention to what's going on. So you always want to have an adult that is pretty much in arm's reach of the child. If they're not in the pool, they're really close to the pool and they're fully engaged so that they can see exactly what's happening. The other thing is you want to make sure that the pool, like how deep is the pool? Is your kid a great swimmer? Are they just a kid that kind of plays around in their life vest or their life jacket? Or are they a kid that's been to swimming lessons or that's been swimming all their lives and they know how to swim? Even in that case, different bodies of water are different, and sometimes there are a lot of strong currents underneath that water or drop offs in the water. So you always want to make sure that you're paying attention, or the area that they're going to be swimming in. The next thing I want you guys to do, I want you to make sure that you set very clear expectations for your children. No running, no goofing around, no playing. Make sure that they understand how much pool time they have. We will be here for an hour. You can swim for an hour, or it'll be 2 hours, because you got to make sure that you keep these kids. You have to be alert and attentive, but you've also got to make sure that your children understand clear expectations. Now, listen, children will be children. So even though you are setting a clear expectation, you as the adult, you have to make sure that you are following up and following through with that. If there's any kind of, if they feel threatened or the water is too rough or there are too many kids playing in the water or they're goofing off and your kid is not really a great swimmer, make sure that your kid has some kind of cue. For me, it's kind of like shake your head. So if you feel unsafe or you feel that something is happening that shouldn't be, just kind of shake your head. Or they could kind of wave their hand or something like that. But you and your child need to have some kind of social cue so that they know if they need some kind of help, you're coming to their rescue. The other thing is make sure that your children are taking a break in between swimming, because sometimes they get really, really tired and they don't know that they're as tired as they are. And so as the adult, we want to make sure that they are taking those rest breaks. If they need to take a break and, get some water or some Gatorade, Powerade, something like that, we want to make sure that we take care of that. Make sure that they are practicing safe water skills. So I talked about that just a few minutes ago. We want to make sure that these children are not just goofing off. Again, kids will be kids, but we need to make sure that our children are safe. You want to make sure that you are managing their impulsivity. These kids are very impulsive. Our children are very impulsive, as are some of us. And especially when they're really, really young, our children can't always control that. As they grow older or as they get into, young adulthood or adolescence, young adulthood into adulthood, then sometimes it's easier to control that impulsivity versus when you're younger. You don't really necessarily know how to handle that. So make sure that these kids have you've got their life jackets on if they need those. Even if they're not the best swimmers. If they are the best swimmers, that's fine. It's up to you as a parent to make that determination. But I would say, as a child, I remember growing up and hearing about so many different accidents where children were drowning, and we hear it on the news all the time, even up to today, where there are children that are out swimming with their friends, not really any adults paying attention to what's going on, and all kinds of accidents happen. And sometimes there have been fatalities, and we want to make sure that those children, that our children are safe. So please make sure that you are paying attention to what's going on, and that your kids know, if it's nod their head or raise their hand or, wave their hand or whatever it is, that they understand what they need to do to get your attention. Make sure they're taking those rest breaks. And then the other thing is, make sure that you schedule a time, or you let your children go to the lake or to the pool at a time where it is not overcrowded, so that they're not distracted, which again can make them irritable. And it can also increase that impulsivity. That impulsiveness is what I call it. Make sure that they are paying attention to that. And you as the parents, I just can't stress it enough. A lot of times we need a break. We feel like we need a break. But I can tell you, I'm a mom that has not had a break. And so for me, the safety of my child is so important to me, even from being little bitty, growing into middle school and high school. Still, even my adult kid, when it's time to go hang out with your friends at the lake. No, I don't make those decisions for my adult kid. But what I do is talk about safety to make sure that she feels safe in the environment that she'll be going into. Because I'm telling you, it's so many different times that we hear about bad things that are happening. Kids are drowning, or people are drowning or getting hurt at the lake and at the pool. So make sure that your child or children, make sure that the time is right. So if my kid gets invited to a pool party, I remember one time my younger kid got invited to a pool party. I was nervous. Oh my God, I was so nervous. But I remember the teacher, that it was like a math program, and the teacher would have like a pool party a couple of times a summer, just to kind of celebrate the kids and let them have a good time. And I remember my daughter going over to the pool party, and it was a little crazy, but the teacher was actually in the water with the kids. And there were like 4 or 5 kids, and some of them were like out in the yard on the slip and slide, and then some of them were in the pool, pretty big pool. But once I got there and I saw it, I became more comfortable. And there was a bench, they had it fixed up really, really nice so that the parents could sit out if they wanted to, or if the parents wanted to get in the water, they could get in the water as well. But I kind of sat on the side and watched, and I know that she really enjoyed it. It wasn't overcrowded, so it wasn't an environment where she would be overstimulated, or where it would increase that impulsiveness that she had sometimes. So the quieter, more relaxed, more structured environment is really good for a person who has ADHD or ADD when it comes to going to the pool. You should also think about, if your child is going to a party where they don't know the other kids that are going to be there, or they have not grown up with these kids, you got to figure out what kind of buddy system you'll have. So your child needs to be, in my opinion, not a professional, but in my opinion, as a parent, I would pair my child up with another reliable child, maybe a really close friend, like their best friend or a friend, if they do know somebody that's there. If they don't know any other kids there, just kind of fill them out, talk to the parents, and see, how these kids kind of start hanging around each other as they're gathering and meeting at the pool. You can kind of tell who will kind of click together, who becomes friends really quick, and try to pair your children up with those children so that they can have a buddy, and then those buddies can also, the two of them can make up their own safety cues, like, oh, hey, if I do like this, that means that I'm scared, or if I not, shake my head, that means that I need you to come and help me, so that they know what the safety cues are as well as you. So that is something that you can consider. And then you also want to think about things like, are these people CPR certified that my kids are going to swim with? Because if they're not, I'm sorry, my kid can't go. My kid cannot go, because you've got to think about those kind of things as a parent. And I know because I'm not a parent that has had the break where the kids are going away, on the weekends or during the summer breaks or whatever. And so for me, I always like to make sure that I plan something, prepare something, so that we can make sure that we're having a good time. I just want them, I just always want my kids to be happy. I want them to have a good relationship with their peers, and I want them to be able to go places and have fun and me not be worried. Because moms, dads, grandparents, if you're raising kids, we do get worried sometimes. We get worried, we're concerned. It's not that we're worried, but we're concerned, and we want to make sure that our children are safe. So again, make sure that when you get ready to go swimming this summer, make sure that you are paying attention. These kids know, they know the safety cues between the parent and their buddy, whether it's a, clap, clap, or if it's wave your hand, or if it's shake my head, whatever it is, make sure that they know those cues. Make sure that they know where the lifeguard is. We didn't talk about that. Make sure that you as a parent or guardian, or if you're the babysitter, make sure that there are clear expectations on the rules that they need to follow. No goofing off and none of that kind of stuff. Make sure you've got those visual cues. Make sure that they're taking a break. You're paying attention to if they seem like they're tired or not, because they're children. Sometimes they don't know. Make sure that you, if they need to get out of the pool and they need to get some kind of some water or something to hydrate them, and then pay attention to if the kids that are, if you're a great swimmer, maybe the great swimmers are over there, and then the kids that are not great swimmers, maybe they're over on this end in the shallow end. But just pay attention and make sure that the kids know, hey, you can't go down on that end. That's really the really deep end, until you learn how to swim better. Or if they are a great swimmer, hey, you can go down on that end, just have fun at the pool. I'm paying attention. I'm right over here if you need me. If I'm not in the pool with you, I'm not in arm's reach of you, at least you do know that I'm close enough so that if you need something, I can be there. And then make sure that your kids, you're not letting them go to a pool party, 8:00 in the evening, pool party. Their medication has worn off. It's crowded. They can get distracted easy. They start being impulsive. So just make sure that you don't set your kids up for failure. You as a parent, guardian, grandparent, as the adult, you make sure that you are putting them in a position so that they're comfortable and they can have fun. They can be themselves. They've got their buddy. They know that you're right there. And then just make sure that they have fun. Make sure that these kids are having fun. This is the summer, And we want to make sure that our children are happy and having a blast with their friends, family, their neighbors, their teammates. And so if you guys need anything, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow me on YouTube. Let your friends know about Kingdom Inspired Kids podcast. This is the podcast where parents talk, and we want to be real, because I can just tell you, being a parent and having children that are diagnosed with ADHD and ADD it has been challenging sometimes. But I can tell you, I've got the best kids. I think I've got the best kids on this side, of the world. And I think a lot of them, I love them with all my heart. And so I want you parents to know that you are not alone. We are in this together. We will be healing. We will get healed together, and delivered from some things together. That is my prayer. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And I will see you really, really, really soon.